Nearly 39 years ago, when my husband and I got married, on our wedding day for the program, we had included a short 4 lines from one of E. Cummings' poems. And these are those 4 lines that I still carry from that program in my wallet every day. I thank you, God, for this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. The book I've chosen to tell you a little about today is a brand new picture book biography on the life of Edward Estlin Cummings, and it's entitled Enormous Smallness, written by Matthew Burgess and illustrated by Chris DiGiacomo. This is a great picture book to encourage a love of poetry and inspiration for children who are learning about words. And E. Cummings' life was such an interesting one. As a little boy, he started making up his own poems when he was 3 years old. And by the time he was a teenager, he was writing a poem a day, and he also liked painting and sketching and drawing. As a young man, he went to Harvard, ended up getting a master's degree at Harvard, very much a man of letters, but he also served in World War I, driving an ambulance in France, and fell in love with Marianne Moore, whom he lived with from 1932 on as his wife, and had a very happy marriage. But he is best known for his innovative use of wordplay and structure, and he kind of rebelled against the long narrative poems that were popular at the time. And he admired, in Greenwich Village, where he lived, hanging around with other artists and writers and poets and musicians. And he admired that kind of freedom and expressing yourself. And he was especially innovative in using wordplay, and he is known now for using all small lowercase letters, thus the E. Cummings. And a couple of poems that I particularly like in this book were included, and I'm going to read you one that was one when I was much, much younger I really loved. In Just is the title. In just spring, when the world is mud luscious, the little lame balloon man whistles far, and wee, and Eddie and Bill come running from marbles and piracies, and it's spring. When the world is puddle wonderful, the queer old balloon man whistles far, and wee, and Betty and Isabel come dancing from hopscotch and jump rope, and it's spring, and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far, and wee. Enormous Smallness, the title of the book, gets the context for that is that he wrote shorter poems, and here's one that's included in the book that I like. Who are you, little I, 5 or 6 years old, peering from some high window at the gold of November sunset, and feeling that if day has to become night, this is a beautiful way. The illustrations are very muted in the book, and very nicely done, and I like that there's additional back material, a chronology of his life, an author's note and acknowledgments. Edward Estlin Cummings was born in 1894, and he died in 1962. But I loved how it talked about not only his home in New York City, but his childhood summers in New Hampshire, where he had a little cabin his dad built for him and where he loved to go write. And in his home of 40 years back in Cambridge and New York City, actually, he did all of his poetry writing in a little bedroom where he could hear the bird song and look out at a tree. And his dad built him a little tree house in that backyard where he was also able to be by himself and enjoy his writing. So I would highly recommend Enormous Smallness, a story of E.E. Cummings by Matthew Burgess. Enjoy.